All right, all right. Welcome back to the Military Retirement Podcast,
Welcome back,
streaming
everybody.
everywhere
Everywhere.
on Facebook, on YouTube, everywhere. What's going on, John? How you doing?
One day on Netflix. Who knows?
So one day on Netflix. Yeah, we might be streaming on Netflix sometime, right? They have podcasts on there now, don't they?
They do. They do.
Yeah, we got to figure that out, man. I don't know how
They
you wiggle your way in there.
gotta have a few million subscribers. So if your friends are out there and they haven't subscribed yet, let them like and subscribe the podcast and get us to those numbers so we can get on Netflix, man.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So yeah, John, what I was saying, man, our backgrounds here, we can kind of start it like we already kind of wear the same colors. We can probably start making our backgrounds kind of the same. So it looks like we're in the same studio. We can kind
Would
of
be
face
nice.
this way, like we're talking to each other. Right. Fool the folks out there. No, good, man. So today we got David from VA Housing Education. If you've ever had questions about VA housing education or VA housing home loans in general, I mean, it's a huge benefit for vets. We got him here live today, so glad to bring him up on the stage. Let's see. Here we go, Dave. Man, what's going on with you, buddy?
What's up, guys? Good. Just plugging away on this beautiful day. Happy Memorial Day to everybody out there.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up tomorrow. We're gonna do the big Memorial Day live stream, but we'll talk about that here in a few. But VA home loans, man, that is your bread and butter.
Bread and butter, yeah. I've been in the military now for about 17 and a half years.
Yeah.
In the lending space about 18. And about 8 years ago, I had so many questions, people from my unit and other folks just asking me like, hey, does this look right with my VA home loan? And I'm like, nope. And I'm like, how do we get information out to the veteran community and kind of give it in a way that is clear and informational, right? Because I think a lot of times, just like with any veteran benefits that are out there, veterans they may think they're working with a good company, or they may be thinking they're using the benefits wrong or correctly, but in fact, they're being taken advantage of, right? So that's kind of the premise of doing a YouTube channel, which I had the equipment sitting there for like 2 years before I did anything with it. But during COVID, we couldn't go anywhere. So I was like, you know what? It's time to really get education out to the veteran community on a larger platform. So, but thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely, man. As soon as we connected and you were like, hey, VA home loans, I mean, I'm using one right now. I've used them in the past. I'm looking to use some in the future here. And I know there's been a lot of changes too with the VA home loan, especially with some legislation that's coming out as well, not passed by law. Specifically, I'm talking about that Sherry Briley and Eric Edmondson Act. But things are going to change, and I'm wondering, like, if you're tracking on any changes that folks should know about, especially like in 2026, because the last time I used it was last year. I don't know if anything's changed since then.
There's been a lot. And a lot of proposed changes. And I always joke around because we do a lot of live events with some guys who do VA disability, and I'm normally like, VA disability continues to get worse, and the VA loan has always been good, but now it's kind of a mixed bag. Some big positive changes that recently came into effect as of the 1st of May of 2026 was one of the biggest hurdles for veterans using the VA home loan was the appraisal requirements for peeling paint, right? So that was like probably the number one issue that popped up. And I don't know if you used the VA loan, did you have any issues with the appraisal?
No. Thankfully, everything went smooth every time I've used it. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. But for a lot of folks out there, it was a big pain point. So now the VA finally came out and said, look, if a home is built after 1978 during the Lead Paint Act was enacted, then the home doesn't need to have peeling paint fixed, which was a huge relief because sellers wouldn't want to accept VA home loans because they're like, well, the VA is going to come back with all these repair items that are needed. But that has now gone away for any appraisals ordered after May 1st, which is a huge positive impact for veterans. Now, there's been some, I know we talked about this before we kicked off. So two major things, which is the HR 6047, that's the Sherry Briley Act, where
That's right.
it's a mixed bag, right? One very positive piece for the most disabled veterans out there getting an extra 10,000 a year. A huge positive for National Guard member and reserve members being
Mhm.
able to use the VA loan insanely fast, right? And this will probably trickle down to active duty folks as well, which it would be like the biggest change in my mind with the VA home loan in its history. The other part to that too, let me just pull that up right here, which is the HR 8532, right? So it's the VA Home Loan Affordability Act. Now, this act also is trying to change a lot of things with the VA home loan. VA loan itself has been an awesome product, right? I've used it on my purchase of my property. You've used it. A lot of folks have used that VA home loan.
Yep.
And what they've been trying to do with that act is trying to make it more like FHA loans, which has a ton of restrictions. VA loans don't, right? I have over 400 videos of all the things that you can do with the VA home loan. But if they try to start going towards FHA standards, it's going to degrade the loan product, which I hope that that's not going to be the case because right now it's very flexible.
Mhm.
Another piece they're trying to do with that that hinders a lot of veterans from becoming homeowners in major cities is when they go to purchase condos because condo requires VA approval. The process is easy, but the stigma is that it's extremely hard. So what they're trying to do with this bill as well is they're trying to cancel out approvals for condos for VA loans, which is mixed bag because I also teach condo financing. And I'll
Mhm.
tell you guys, even like if you don't do it every day, right? Looking at condos, financials, what are they doing? You can get yourself in a bind. And veterans now are trying to search for condos that are already VA approved, which the VA's approval for condos is very minimal in what they require for a denial, right? And even when you can get if a condo is denied, right now you can do a waiver. So I think right now their idea is that, well, if we just get rid of it completely, we're going to solve the problem. They're going to solve the VA's problems for like them doing more work, but now the burden's going to fall onto somebody, a veteran that doesn't understand condo financing. They could be surrounded by a sales team that just wants to sell them something, but not explain it.
Right.
And for me, my motto is that I don't care if you buy a house or not, right? I'm here to educate you. You want to work together? Great. We'll make it happen. But when someone doesn't want to do something and we analyze it, then we let them know, like, don't do this. This is a huge financial pitfall, right? Like if you're going to have liquidity issues, like meaning you can't sell that place when you need to, because again,
Mhm.
VA condos are extremely loose. Like buildings could be not approved to be able to do conventional loans or FHA loans. But on the flip side, you could do a VA loan in it. Is that good or is that bad? Right. And if you don't really understand the entire process of that, you can get in a lot of trouble yourself. Right.
So what makes a condo not VH or VA loan, I guess, approved? Is it just the lender, or is it like something to do with like the structure, or is the VA looking for something specific?
So the VA is looking for two main things. They're looking for leasing restrictions, meaning that you can't lease your property, right? So if you have a
Mhm.
condo, you can't lease it. Now they do allow like not if you have an Airbnb restriction on your condo, they're okay with that. Or if you have a 1 year lease requirement, they're okay with that. But let's say if the building you would have to submit the application to the building for them to approve it. The VA would say, well, this would hinder the veteran's ability to rent it. So we're going to deny it. The other
Gotcha.
one is an old rule that, like we see that a lot in Chicago in old buildings, which is called the right of first refusal. That's where, let's say, Vic, you're wanting to list your condo. You list it for sale for, let's say, 400,000. I come in and go, I'm going to buy it. Here's a contract for 400,000. You then have to go to the association to see if they want to purchase your building for 400,000.
Mm.
Now, I've seen it only a handful of times where it does come in handy. That's normally where you see, like, let's say you inherited a property that was worth 400,000, but you just want to dump it and you're going to sell it for 300,000.
Mhm.
Then you go to the board. The board's going to be like, well, if he sells it for 300,000, that means the entire building's value is going to drop 100,000. So they'll step in,
Right.
buy it, unrecord it, and then they'll go and sell it and make $100,000 profit. Right. So like, but again, I've rarely seen that happen. So that's really the two things, right? All other loan programs, they're looking at the budgets. They're making sure that they have enough reserves. The VA they don't look at that piece, right? And conventional loans requirements have also stepped up a little bit this year, which has been big changes. So, when you think about liquidity, you're not just thinking like, oh, I'm buying something now because I just need a place to live and I really like this building. You need to understand the finances because you can have special assessments that come up at some point in a transaction. And we'll see sellers hide like their special assessments. That's why you got to read the meeting minutes. And I have a whole bunch of videos on that. But like you really need to become an expert in that process before you purchase. And you do have to get involved with the board because they'll make decisions. I don't know if you guys lived in a condo before, but sometimes there's crazy people running them. It's like you have to remember if there's 100 people living in that building, you are sharing a budget with 100 other people, right? And people want to do different things, and everyone's financial picture is a little bit different. Especially if you're if you're a disabled veteran, let's just say you're on fixed income. Let's just leave it at that. Let's just say you may have disability, and that's it. HOAs go up $300-$400. That impacts your month-to-month lifestyle, and we've seen that just like with property taxes, where we've seen it. Like let's say in Chicago, I know the market where taxes went up 180% earlier this year. So veterans that weren't paying property taxes now all of a sudden, because their values went up past the threshold, now they're paying property taxes. So, home ownership is supposed to be a happy thing, right? It gives veterans stability. Just like my wife, that's the reason I have a house. She's like, I want roots. And I'm like, all right, let's buy a place. But
let's get a plant.
You got a plant. So now I got to renovate the house, which is this whole separate issue. But we're in the process of gathering all that. But all those things kind of have to factor in, right? Just understanding what you're buying, even if it's just a house, right? Like what's the maintenance requirements for the house? Do you have enough money? Are you budgeting? And so oftentimes we see veterans that, they're in the home buying process and they spend all their money, not on like things like that they need. It's wants, right? Going out.
Like furniture and all that.
No, not furniture. Like going out, eating.
Oh, okay. Outside of the house.
Not on the town.
Outside of the house. Yeah. Instead of saving money, right? So we're always talking about managing budget, because good budget equals good credit, and good credit gives you access to the cheapest financing because everybody wants you.
Right.
So
I like that. So question about the credit now. So I listened to some other podcasts, right? Like the whole Dave Ramsey thing that comes up, right? I'm sure you know about that. Big thing he preaches is like, hey, you got to have good credit, or you don't have any credit, right? Get rid of credit cards and all that stuff. And I guess you get underwritten somehow without credit. Like, does that work with the VA loan too, or do you have to have some kind of credit to get in with that?
This is like a 4-hour conversation on that alone.
Oh man, we can dissect it down as much as you can, man. No worries.
So the thing in general is you want to have credit. Because if you don't have credit, you're treated as a subprime borrower. And that has a lot of impacts just across the board. If you don't have credit, you don't have access to credit. So if an emergency comes up and you need a credit card because you need $5,000 to fix something, you don't have the cash, you don't have credit, you can't access it, right? When you don't have credit and you want to use a VA home loan, you go from, this is technical, but you have to understand it. You go from an automated approval to a manual approval. And a manual approval is where someone has to manually review your application to see if you meet the criteria of the VA. So what happens when that happens is now there's overlays. Now you need to show that you've paid, let's say, some type of installment loans. Like let's say you've had 2 utility bills that you've paid for the last 2 years, or a gym membership. Like we had to get some money to provide a gym membership. They paid that for the last 12 months. And then you also have to provide a 24 month rental history.
Mhm.
So, and now you're faced with higher closing costs and higher interest rates. So the general cost of getting financing also increases. One gentleman that we helped out earlier this year, huge fan of the Dave Ramsey. That's how he became debt free. But when we finished the loan process, he's like, I will never again not have credit. Because
I can see that, yeah.
of just how just the process was of sourcing everything. So because it's like, look at it, the VA doesn't have a minimum credit requirement, but most lenders do. Right? Normally they'll be like 580 on up, maybe sometimes 620, because they know the challenges that come with that, and it is just a higher, technically, from a lending perspective. If you're trying to borrow to somebody that doesn't use credit, you then assume that they don't know how to pay their bills on time, right? So
Right.
then that's why they're normally assessed a 620 credit score, and then you have the higher interest rate, higher fees to be able to leverage the VA home loan, which I think is unfortunate. But I'm not saying that people should go out and like load up on 20 credit cards and max them out and then just let them go, right?
Good advice. Yes.
Yeah, be responsible. Because the thing is that, like, look, like for me, I have a card I use for gas, I use a card for groceries, and I have a card that I use for Amazon. Okay. And they're all points based, and I just pay them off at the end of every month. If you go with that strategy, you both build credit and very positive credit. And then when you need to get a VA home loan, or you have a house, but you want to get a line of credit because you want to leverage your house and you want to buy a house overseas, let's say, or you want to build a barn, or you want to buy land because at some point you think you're going to build somewhere. All those things are very important in the credit piece, but it starts with a good budget. Because we'll have veterans that want to buy a multifamily with their VA loan. They just have disability and they qualify for $1 million property. Some veterans make 100. Well, they normally, if they're in that position, they have a lot of money saved, like a couple $100,000. They have a plan, right? And then you have some veterans that have the same amount of income, and then they say, well, I can't afford a $300,000 property. And most of the time, it's because of budgeting. And hands down, if you budget well, then you're able to unlock doors to other options.
See, that's the tough part, though, is, I mean, we preach it all the time here on all the channels, on Military Retirement Podcast, Green Logbook. It's like one of the best things you can do when you leave the military is leave the military debt free, owing nobody else money,
100%.
and stocking away. If you know you're going to retire, you want to stock away as much as you can, keep everything good, like credit good, have a fund there for you and your family, just in case you want to take some time off after. The scary part is, like I agree with what you mentioned, like the credit card thing, right? Like, use a credit card. I myself have 2 of them and do the same thing you do. Pay it off at the end of the month. That way you don't incur all the crazy fees and stuff. Like the Amex Platinum charges like $80 or something like that if you're late on it. They, paid off at the end of the month. But it's easy in theory. But when you have life going on, then you just things fall apart. Some people don't do that stuff, and then they just get comfortable with that. Oh, I'm okay with paying that monthly fee. Well, it's hard to do sometimes. No, but I completely understand what you're saying. Keep that momentum going if you're going to have credit cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually want to point on something that you had mentioned about the manual kind of override, the manual look at your credit rating and your scores and all your paperwork. And I want to kind of throw this out there as a thought experiment. That's assuming that the person that's actually doing that manual override, looking at your paperwork, actually knows what they're doing as well. And they're doing it the same way as every other VA examiner person who's looking at all that paperwork. I say that because I experienced it with my VA home loan experience where I was trying to buy a property. The property was zoned for some weird zoning thing. And in Georgia, it doesn't really matter, I came to find out. But I ended up doing a lot of due diligence on the back end because the VA initially said, hey, this property is zoned this way, so we can't do the VA loan for it because of XYZ. And it's in a residential area, but it's zoned for commercial or something like that. And I had to go back and like dig up all this paperwork and all these tax records and everything and send it to the VA and basically do the homework for them and send it to them and say, hey, look, here's what you were looking for. Here's the thing. Here's the deed number, et cetera, et cetera. Luckily, I have a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of understanding how to do that. But like if somebody doesn't have that kind of understanding, what kind of things would they need to look for? Who would they be able to reach out to get help with that kind of thing?
That's a good question. So I want to clarify a couple things. There's different layers. Like let's say you have a zoning issue, right? It can be at the lender level or it can be at the VA level, right? Lenders also work with investors, right? So one lender can work with 30 different investors. And out of those 30, maybe one of them will take that without any issues, right? And we've experienced that on our end where one lender will, even though it's the same VA home loan, one lender on a manual underwrite will not be okay with the credit profile. While another one's like, this is easy. This is a slam dunk, right? So it comes down to what that investor is willing to accept as far as quote unquote risk. Now, what you went through might have been a technicality because of the zoning issue, right? And we've run into that as well, helping folks become homeowners. But that's why, you can reach out to the VA itself if it's an appraisal issue. If it's an underwriting issue, they're just basically going to tell you to talk to your lender. Now, if you have questions, they can schedule a call with me on all my videos on VA housing education. They can schedule a call and I'll walk them through what the technical issue may be and a solution for that. Because that's what we're good at, like solving problems to kind of figure out like what's going on, where's the issue, and who do we have to talk to at the VA, or is it a lender issue that, hey, they just can't do it, but here's an option that you can do it, right? So that does exist, but it will definitely be circumstantial on that case. But they can always reach out to me. I'm happy to walk them through it.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and I mentioned that again. Like I'm not sure how across the board that is, if a lot of people experience that, but just that one experience with me kind of put my wheels in motion. And I was like, maybe they're just checking the box. Maybe it was that certain time of the year. Maybe it was budget cuts. Like who knows what it would have been. But it was definitely an interesting thing, especially after spending years and years before that, like learning how real estate works, learning how finance works, learning XYZ in the housing market, and then going through that experience afterwards. It was kind of a blessing in disguise to do all that homework up front, but not everybody is willing to sit down and become that nerd when it comes to housing and loans and all that.
Well, sometimes you have to, otherwise, and that's kind of like another piece of why I do the YouTube stuff is that if I can give enough information to somebody for them to be able to make a decision on their own. Right? I'm a big fan of not making a decision for somebody, but just letting you absorb the information and see if this is something that you want to do. right? And that's how it should be, instead of you being pushed into that process. But there's just a lot of things that go into real estate that sometimes people just wake up and they're like, well, it's time. I'm getting married. I need to buy a house. But, it may be the right time, but the wrong you. Just like the song goes, right? That's why, going back to what we talked about a little bit earlier, budget, credit, then you can jump into things because you're financially ready to do. And like I
Right.
watched, I liked some of the comments. Car loans is probably the number one deal killer for veterans. When I'm looking at you're on 100% VA disability, no other income, but you got $1,000 car payment.
That
And-
shiny Dodge Charger is looking good.
And when I tell you that to get rid of this car, you say, I love this car. What is more? It's your priorities, right? And I think that's for a lot of folks out there. But yeah, people get 20% interest rates on these cars. They just want to keep them. But my buddy was looking at buying a car, and I said, and he's also wanting to buy a house. We looked at the numbers. I'm like, you have enough money just to buy like a car for 10 grand. Buy it cash, no car payment. Your insurance on top of that is going to be way cheaper, right? So not only do you have a car payment, you have things that lenders don't consider in a VA loan, like car insurance, life insurance. How much do you pay for that every month? But if you budget, then okay, well, this doesn't make sense for me to do, because if I buy this, now I can't do this.
Right.
So,
and at some point, you're going to have to combine those two. If you're remaining in debt, then your car is going to become your house. So think wisely about that.
So make sure you buy an RV if that's the case. You gotta kill two birds with one stone.
There you go.
RVs,
you don't have to worry about that.
RVs are expensive. They're crazy expensive. They give
They
you like
are out.
20-year
I was
loans.
just looking at one. Yeah, I was looking at the small ones, like the Sprinter ones. They're built on the Mercedes chassis or whatever. Just because I have kids, we like to go around camping and stuff like that. It's not huge. It won't completely take over my driveway. I've got a neighbor who's got one of those, whatever they call them, I don't know, Class A's or whatever, RVs. Takes up his entire side of his house.
Fifth wheeler, the one that's got a connection at the front.
No. This is like the entire. It looks like a big rectangle. It's like the engine. I mean, you walk in, you have the driver's seat, and then it's an entire apartment.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So it's immense, dude. But the thing is, the amount of times that he has taken it out, I can count on half a hand in the last year and a half that I've lived here. So, I mean, I have to believe it's expensive because it looks new.
Well, that's why those are great to pick up on the secondhand market, because a lot of people buy them and they don't use them. But yeah,
just like a boat,
It's better to have friends with boats. Those are the best. Those are if you want a boat, because otherwise, like you said, like, we got people in Chicago that could maybe use the boat 4 months out of the year. And then you're not going boating every day. And you have weekends. So maybe every other weekend. So you're going to use it like 16 times. Gas is $1,000 to fill up every time. So
it is. So I know a Navy guy out here in San Diego who he bought one of these boats, these pontoons, and it has like a water slide in the back and all that. He bought one of these, but he rents it out for like parties. So it's kind of docked over here, like in San Diego somewhere, and he just rents them out. I'm like, okay, that's not that bad. I guess it's paying for itself little by little. I mean, you can almost boat most of the year here.
That's a different story. We've had veterans that do that with cars too. But just really depends on what you're comfortable with. Because I mean, look, the VA loan, we have veterans that buy a house, so they buy a multifamily, and they don't make a mortgage payment because they rent out rooms, they rent out their apartments, right? They Airbnb, they put traveling nurses, they connect with insurance companies to house folks, right? Like you were talking about individual that was renting out to former drug addicts, right? So like rehab
right.
programs.
That's
And
Mhm.
so it just depends on your level of comfort, right? A lot of veterans, what I feel like that we've talked to, buy a house so they have something of their own, and they want to be by themselves or just with their family, right?
Yeah.
So, because the VA loan is very flexible. I mean, you could technically buy a farm with your VA home loan. You could
Yeah,
buy a
so
farm residence.
that's the idea is get like acreage and then build something on there. That's exactly what I'm looking at right now. Getting some land and potentially building on there. So how does that work? The VA loan will fund the land and the house, or do I have to have something locked in first?
So this goes a couple different ways. If you don't own land
Mhm.
and you want to buy land, then you have to do a VA construction loan right away, because you can't just buy land solely and then never build anything.
Mhm.
You have to go in with buying and building at the same time. So we don't do VA construction loans. It's hard to find somebody that's good. I don't know any of them, because people always call like, why can't I find somebody? Because like it's a different it's a whole different beast. Lenders have to front the money. So basically they have to like give the couple $100,000, and it's 100% financing, so it's a little bit risky, but you can do it, right? The other way to do it is, like, I have land in North Carolina, right? And I'm paying off that land. And I did a video on it talking about land is a really good savings account, because we're not making more land unless we go invade another country and then we claim that as America, right? Otherwise, it's fixed, which,
Well,
So if you're thinking about, let's say, buying somewhere or wanting to live somewhere in the future,
mhm.
buy land, right? You normally could pick up land at a pretty good deal, but the down payments are normally like 20 to 25%. So keep that in mind. But like, we'll have people that go out there and buy $20,000 piece of land, right? They do a $5,000 down payment, get a mortgage for the 15, and voila. In fact, you can just use a 0% interest credit card for like 20 months, zero interest. Just buy that with a cash advance, 0%, and then just pay it off of over 18 months.
There you
That's
go.
what good credit allows you to do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Access money.
like that.
But and another thing with that is that if you buy that land and in 15 years you're like, hey, I'm ready to build, you've paid off the land is appreciated. In theory, you could not use a VA loan. And normally, if you have 20% equity with like the land with your build, then I would recommend not using a VA loan. Then you can go ahead and do
Mhm.
like who did I went to? There's a bank in North Carolina. Essentially, if you have 20% equity, they give you a really good interest rate, and you could self-build. So then you could be your own GC. Now you just saved another
Yeah.
100 grand. If that's something that you're comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
But it just gives you a lot of flexibility.
And there's some good land out in North Carolina too, so that wouldn't be that bad.
No, I got a place up in the mountains. So
In North
got
Carolina?
lucky. Yeah, up by Black Mountain, 18 acres
Okay, okay.
in the
Oh, right on.
usable, most
Uh,
half usable land.
I like the area. We used to go vacation over by Chimney Rock,
Yeah,
and
right by there.
I was looking at some spots over in Hendersonville, near
Nice.
Asheville. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. So we're looking at some places out there potentially, but my wife is hesitant about moving to the East Coast. I grew up on the East Coast. She's a West
It's
Coast
beautiful.
/ Hawaii girl, so I'm like, man, let's do something here, right? But she's very hesitant about it.
She'll
No,
love it.
so
It's awesome.
yeah, no, we were stationed out in
Beautiful.
Camp Lejeune, man. We love going out there. It was great. There's a little place out there called right next to Hendersonville. Oddly enough, it's called Bat Cave, North Carolina.
Yeah.
So I crossed the line and there was like Bat Cave. This is an actual like town name. This is kind of crazy,
Mhm.
but it's beautiful out there. Beautiful.
No,
A lot
especially
of woods and
right
all that.
now.
Yeah. So David, man, I got questions about funding fees, dude. So like if somebody's going to go buy their house with a VA home loan, usually there's a funding fee, and a lot of folks don't really know about that until they actually get into it. I've been seeing stuff on Reddit and stuff on Facebook. They're like, man, how do I get past this funding fee? And what I understand is usually they roll that into the mortgage. Does that happen for everybody, or can it be taken away at some point or waived?
So a couple things to that. The VA funding fee is a fee the VA charges in order to use the VA home loan.
Mhm.
It changes based on if you're using it the first time, it's subsequent use, right? So if you use it first time, it's different than the second, third, fourth. The rest of those are going to be the same.
Right.
And if you do a 0 money down, 5% down payment, or a 10% down payment, okay? If you're service connected of 10% or more, then you don't pay the VA funding fee currently, because that there's legislation to change that, right? So currently, 10% or more, you don't pay the VA funding fee. Also, if you file your intent to file today, let's say the 24th of May 2026, you buy a house up to 30 days from now. So in June, you buy the house, you paid the VA funding fee. And then in 2029, the VA finally grants you 10% VA discount.
Hmm.
And then it's backdated to your intent to file date, right? That's when it should be dated back to. So if your rating is dated back before you purchased, you call the VA and they'll send you a check back for the VA funding fee. Not
And
only
that's no
that,
small amount either.
no, not only that, let's say you are awarded 100% in this same scenario. 3 years later, you got the 100%, it's backdated to today. Not only do you get the money from the VA for back pay, you get refund your VA funding fee. And if your state has an exemption for 100% disabled veterans, then you can go to the county and request a certificate of error for your taxes. Then you also will get that money back. Now, if you didn't know that, and now you do, we also split that 50-50.
It's not bad, not a bad fee.
Some of the information's free.
So no, it's all free.
It's free until it's not.
It's not, right? And so with these new changes now, right? Now it's a whole different ballgame. And they've moved past already, what is it? They passed Congress. I'm trying to find it. It's that HR 6047, that's the Sherry Briley Act.
That's right. Yep.
So in that one, we touched on it earlier, they're expanding VA home loan eligibility for National Guard and Reserve members. Like, this is life changing, because now it's going to be you finish basic training and advanced, like in the Army, because I'm in the Army, AIT, individual, I can't remember what that is, but you have advanced initial training. Yeah. And then basically after you finish that, you go home, you have 14 drill days. So if you come home and then you go right into, let's say, an annual training, that's 14 days, because they're 14 days. Right after that, you qualify for the VA home loan.
Excellent.
So you can go
Before
to,
that,
like,
it was 90
Oakland.
days, right?
No, you had to do 6 years.
Oh, 6 years.
So yeah,
Okay.
so this is where the confusing part is.
Yeah.
This is 14 days of drilling.
Hmm.
So before, you had to do your basic training and advanced training, even though it's active duty, doesn't count as active duty for the 90 days. You have to be deployed in a Title 10 status for 90 plus days in order to use the VA loan. So just imagine, a lot of units don't deploy like that, right? Some units do, but it's very few in the United States that have a rotation where, hey, every 3 years we're deploying for 6 months to a year.
Right.
So a lot of veterans just didn't qualify for the VA, or a lot of National Guard and Reserve members. Now, if you served prior active duty and you served 24 months, you're good to go. And this is also retroactive back to September 11th, 2001. So I can't tell you guys how many veterans I talk to that are 100% PNT that don't qualify for a VA home loan. A lot of them. This would change that because now they can go back and be able to qualify and access the VA home loans. This would open it up for, I mean, I would assume millions because you're going all the way back to 2001, September 11th, 2001, to now, all the people that are joining. So it would be a huge benefit for them. You know, imagine if you go to infantry, like I was infantry OSINT, 1 unit station training at Benning, basic training right into advanced training. I think it was like 12 weeks total. I came home, we did a drill. We had a AT. I already can use my VA loan, like within months.
Amazing.
But there's always a catch.
Do tell. I'm curious.
So what they want to do with this bill, right? The bill, again, just to remind folks, it's to increase pay for the most disabled veterans. Very positive. But they're trying to add in all this stuff because they want you as a veteran to pay for it, which is, I think, the first time they're doing something like this. So for folks that would qualify for this specific program, the VA funding fee would be increased another 1%, which makes it very expensive to use. Like
Is that across the board for everybody, or is that just for?
You know what? I'm unclear on that because the way it's written, it's like politicians, the way they write, right?
Yeah.
So from my understanding, it's just for folks that are utilizing that specific guard reserve, that criteria, not the regular criteria. They're also increasing the VA interest rate reduction refinance loan, which right now is like 0.5%. They're proposing, I think, 1.4 or 1.5. That's a huge, like, so if you have a average home, let me get average
Is
price
that the
point of a
IRRL? Is that what it is?
Mhm.
Okay. I get mail on that all the time. So please inform me on what that is.
Yeah. So the VA, I'll explain what the EARL is, then I'll kind of explain the fee. So an interest rate reduction refinance loan is when you have a current VA home loan and you want to refinance it. It's an amazing product because no appraisal, no termite inspection. You can have a $5 million home and collect 10% VA disability and you qualify for it because you have a source of income. So they don't verify income, a source of income. You have to make your payments on time for the last 12 months. They're just refinancing the no appraisal. Like, it's a really quick process, right? Right now, it's a 0.5%. So average home in the price point of a home is $400,000. So let's just use $400,000 as an example. Right now, the VA funding fee, if you're not service connected, would be $2,000. New rule passes, it bumps up to $6,000 just to do a refi. And if you think about it, also depending on where you live, like if you live in Florida, it's very expensive to refinance because you pay transfer taxes on a refi. Okay, so you when you go into a transaction, you also want to understand not just what it looks like when you buy, what it looks like when you sell, what it looks like when you refinance, because it may change your mindset to, should I do a buy down now? Because it would be cheaper, right? So we just had a discussion with somebody because it would cost them to save more than 0.5%. It would cost them less to do it now to do a buy down than try to refinance later and hope rates drop, right? So you have to be really understanding of that. So, increasing that fee, now all of a sudden you start thinking to yourself, I got to spend $6,000 on the VA funding fee. I need to spend another $10,000 for closing costs, interest. I have to repay taxes. I have to re-escrow everything, right? Now I'm looking at $16,000. I'm saving $150 a month. Does that even make sense? And those mailers you get in the mail, they're like the biggest con artists. I get those emails too. I get emails, mail, and I also get text messages and phone calls from these people. And I ask them, well, when you look at the fine print, they're like 3 points to do this, $21,000. That's it, just $21,000. And you could save 0.5% and save $100 a month. And you're thinking to yourself, how many people out there do this a lot because people don't explain anything to them.
That's
But
yeah, because I was considering that too when they called me up. Hey, what's your interest rate? I'm like, mine's pretty good, but I mean, they couldn't match it. But I had questions for them, and I'm like, okay, I'm not up to speed on what the point systems are and all that stuff. So
And
had to do some research on that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep it as is until I see some kind of drop in the mortgage, and if it goes below, what mine is, significantly below, then maybe I'll consider refinancing because right now it's
maybe,
fine. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Right now it's fine. It's doable right now. So, but yeah, there's a
yeah.
lot of
Look,
stuff, man. I mean, they call all the freaking time, dude. All the time. Spam calls.
it's wild, and they passed a
Yeah.
law that they're not allowed to spam anymore as of earlier this month. Last month, someone asked, "Why don't I start a YouTube channel?"
Okay, so let's explain that real quick. So he does have a YouTube channel. It's
it's a
called
great
VA
idea.
Housing Education.
That's a
Great idea. Tony
Let
Slaughter.
me see if I change my.
Let me see if I can grab the @ handle and I'll throw it in the chat real quick.
I should have changed my name to have it on there.
So
Edit evidence.
maybe another YouTube channel explaining more stuff, right? So Tony Slaughter wants more information. No, this is all great, man. And VA Housing Education is the name of David's YouTube channel. A lot of great info on there. I love your thumbnails, by the way. Awesome stuff. I know we talked a little bit about it. But yeah, man, I'm very curious about also similar to like what John lives overseas, right? And I'm curious about that too. I've been watching a lot of videos on like expats, vets who are moving to different countries and stuff like that. Because I was also considering something like that. And then I came across, folks who are moving to the Philippines, Thailand, and all that, and wondering like, hey, would the VA loan cover something like that if I wanted to buy it? It's significantly less expensive to buy something over there from what I've seen. I've not gone through real estate agencies or anything like that. But I've seen a video of somebody buying an entire house or building one for like 60,000 out there in Thailand, I think it was. Would the VA loan fund something like that?
In a way, but not directly. Okay. So the VA loan is designed to be used within the United States and its territories. Like so Alaska is included. If you want to buy in, I think Puerto Rico, you can use the VA home loan. In those areas, you can use it. Outside of the country, you cannot directly buy a property. Now, one thing that you can do, which goes back to good budget, good credit, right? And depending on your financial situation, we've helped people do a couple different things. One, if it's 60 grand, you could probably get a low interest personal loan and knock it out and just have a plan, right? Because if you know, like, oh, I can afford $600 a month because I'm going to have this other house and I'm going to Airbnb it. I have a plan. It's going to pay for itself. Oh, cool. It's a 5-year note. Hey, you can knock that out. No problem. It's like a car payment. Some people that own a home will either get a home equity line of credit and then use that line of credit to buy a property or buy a lot of them, right? You may have a lot of equity in your property. The other option is you could do a cash out refinance. Now, if you're sitting on a really low interest rate, does that make sense? It may not, right? HELOC might be a better option. And then you could, but again, you could max out your HELOC. I don't do them, but you can go to like a local bank and get them. You just pull what you need and you pay interest on. It's interest only. Every program's a little bit different, but essentially it's a 30-year mortgage. First 10 years, it's variable interest. It changes every month. It's interest only, so you're not paying any principal down. And then after that 10 years, normally it re-amortizes to a 20-year mortgage at the rates at that time. Now, you can refinance those at any time. So if you're like, I don't want my line of credit anymore, I want to refinance into a fixed second mortgage, you can refinance those. And later, you might be like, I want a HELOC back, right? You can do that again. So it's a way that we've seen people build assets overseas by leveraging their own property or doing a personal loan, right? That's the other option. Or sometimes people will have enough money in their 401ks, and they'll do a loan against themselves at a really low interest rate. Just depends on what you want to do, right? How you want to structure your finances. What are you comfortable with from a risk perspective?
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Because a lot of folks don't have the cash to go out there and buy a
Right.
house. So, uh, like for instance, I was watching this video yesterday. This gentleman's like, "Yeah, I came over here with little money, and now I don't have enough to go back because he lives off Social Security, right? Older gentleman
Right.
doesn't have enough to go back and actually buy a place because everything has just, ballooned so high that he's kind of stuck out there now that he wants to return to the U.S. So it really kind of puts you in a bad situation. But I mean, that also goes along with budgeting and things like that you mentioned
Right.
earlier. Yeah,
And maximizing your benefits. The VA funding
absolutely.
fee, one thing I think that you were on, or the other week we were talking about, a lot of veterans still don't understand the VA disability process, right? Or
Mhm.
they shy away from it.
Yeah.
Then you have other veterans that have ratings that they should have higher, but they're too scared to go back to lose what they have,
Mhm.
right? And the VA disability itself has been changing, not in a positive way. At least maybe some, but normally they're trying to make things harder, at least from what I've seen doing it. But
Yeah,
this is
a
why
lot
it's,
more restrictions, it seems
yeah, a
like.
lot more restrictions. So it's like if you're thinking about doing it, do it sooner than later because of all these changes that they're doing. It's like same thing with housing. It's like, people are waiting for rates to drop. That's the wrong answer. If rates drop, what happens to the market? When
Oh,
you and
everybody comes in.
everybody comes in, and
Let's
then all of a sudden, these lower interest rates do nothing for you. But
Yeah.
what does something for you? I'm not saying you should buy something because you should buy it. Like if you're in a position that you can do it financially and it makes sense, and you're
Mhm.
staying in this area, you lock in the equity today, and then, hey, in a year and a half, rates drop all of a sudden to 4%. Values will skyrocket once again, but you're still locked in where you're at today. And then you're just refinancing into a lower payment versus you trying to pay at a higher dollar amount. The challenge, I think, when people think about real estate and they think when our home price is going to go down, a lot of times people are thinking of 2008, 2009, right? The challenge is that people have money right now. And we're going to see the largest transfer of generational wealth in history with baby boomers passing away. Okay. I did a video talking about one of the, sometimes we'll see folks, in their early 20s doing 20% down payments or 30% down payments. You're thinking, like, where is this coming from? And a lot of times it's parents are giving their kids money for these homes. So I can't see, maybe there could be a situation where we do have a real housing meltdown, but I just don't know how. When anytime you see foreclosures coming abroad, they're absorbed right away, right? Investors are
Yeah.
coming in and absorbing them, flipping them. You see neighborhoods changing because people are tearing down homes, renovating homes, building bigger ones or smaller ones, whatever the case may be. So you have to just be aware of it. But listen, there's people we help that buy $150,000 houses. They exist. $200,000 houses exist, right? And then
Mhm.
someone will say that, well, that's not an area I'd want to live in, right? But if you, let's say, are on 100% fixed income, what difference does it make, right? You
Right.
have to kind of figure out where you want to be. But in every area, there's affordable homes and great
I
areas.
think for folks who maybe have like for instance, I'll put my situation out there. When we were looking around for some places, I'm like, yeah, this is not. Those words actually came out of my mouth. This is not an area I want to be in. Specifically because I was looking. I had young kids. School districts were important to me, so I was willing to pay a bit of a higher price to be in a better area. right? And then what you also mentioned about, you know, the parents and the generational transfer is very true, and I see it a lot with in my neighborhood as well. A lot of the older folks, a lot of paid off homes around here with these older folks, and then you see like the younger generation, their kids moving in with their kids, taking care
Yeah.
of the grandparent, you know, and the houses are getting updated, which is nice too because it kind of brings new life to the neighborhood. So everything's getting updated, new families moving in, you know, and I'm always wondering like how the hell, you know, these houses are expensive. How are some of these folks moving in here? And it is because of the generational, you know. I still see the grandparents there. They're just being taken care of by the kids now.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
and
because it's so expensive to buy something. So
It is. It's freaking outrageous, man.
crazy.
well, I mean, there is a silver lining to areas that are a little bit less expensive, especially if you're talking about rural versus like urban, and you're moving to an area that's maybe a little bit more secluded, a little bit more isolated, and the housing costs are lower generally. And that's just my experience and what I observed in 2008, 2009, and then moving forward through that is a lot of those areas where the housing costs are lower don't get hit as hard when the economic like bust happens. Whereas a San Diego or a Los Angeles or a New York or Chicago, especially in the urban centers, those areas get hit really, really hard, and they take the brunt of the damage, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they absolutely
I
do.
did
Yeah.
want I did want to ask you a question about as far as what you see with folks actually buying homes with like the millennials and the Gen Z and those folks. Are they? Do you see a lot more of those younger generations actually buying houses, or do you see them moving more into like the renters market where they want to rent apartments and be able to move around and be more mobile nowadays?
You know, it's a good question. It's hard to answer because we have a limited of pool of folks we talk with, right? In general, I would say when veterans have one of the best shots at home ownership because of the zero money down. Like they basically just have to pay for closing costs, right? So the National Association of Realtors did an article not that long ago talking about that exactly, right? Veterans have access to the VA loan to become homeowners, where a lot of other folks, just imagine you're buying a $400,000 property, right? So let's just say you're looking at a $400,000 property. You need to have 5, 6, 9% total. You would need $36,000 saved. And you have like over 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. Right. So just imagine how much harder it is for regular folks to be able to get into home
Oh
ownership
yeah.
versus a veteran. It's like it's wild unless you then have family that gives you money to help out. We've seen that as well. So and veterans, you know, will come with a mixed bag as well, right? Like I mentioned, sometimes people will come in and be like, well, rates are just too high. I'm not going to buy anything. I'm waiting till values drop 30% and rates are 2%. You're never buying a house, right?
Yeah. You're gonna be standing still for
You're
forever.
going to be right. And then you have the group of people that I should have bought 20 years ago. I should have bought 10 years ago when the home values were lower.
20 years
And
from now, what happens
yeah,
then?
it's going to be you.
And the
And
same
that's
thing.
right. You know, 20 years from now, the situation I believe is going to be a little bit different because of the
Uh,
baby boomers passing away, house transitions, and more, should be more inventory. But still, like from a value perspective, I think we've gotten so comfortable with where we're at and like values because again, housing is somewhat limited. Um, we'll see that 20-year mark how it changes, but this is why it's so important. Again, it goes back to what is your financial situation? Why can one veteran buy a $400,000 property with the same income and another one could buy $1 million property with the same income and then rent out their other units and not make a mortgage payment? So they have a mortgage, they're not making a mortgage payment because someone else is, but you're struggling to buy a property.
yeah. The budgeting, the
The
education,
budget,
and I guess the risk, how much risk you want to take. I guess all those things kind of ball up, and
Big
that's what
time.
makes people's minds up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, David, we got a question here that's pretty good one. I
Yeah.
was reading it and I figured, throw it your way. As a licensed contractor, can I build my own house using a VA construction home loan?
No. That's it.
All right. All right.
So this is why.
Period.
Nope, that's it. Good talking. So listen, the thing. So this is why I mentioned that if you buy land now, right, or like sometimes people will get gifted land that's paid off. Then you can use the equity. So if you have 25% equity, you normally can go to like a farm and credit. I don't know if you guys have heard of those before. They used to be like part of the government, but they sold off. But they do them. They do agricultural loans. That's where I got my loan for my place. But they will let you do it if you have a big enough down payment. Okay, so I don't know if you joined us when we were first talking about it. You can't use yourself, right? But you may know a buddy that's a licensed contractor that you can hire them,
There we go.
right? If you have a friend, you can hire them, right? They're a contractor.
My wife is my friend too. So
Is she your
probably
friend?
hire. There you
Yeah,
go.
as long as
Comment
I would
bulldozer.
assume that one might be a tricky one we have to confirm. But if they're not on the application, right, not on title, like you're just hiring somebody else, right, to do the work. The requirements can be lender specific, but normally the VA got rid of it's for construction loans. You might still need to do it to get certified by them, but now we're required to have friends. I like that comment. Sometimes you need a friend. This is why it's like good budgeting, right? Good budgeting equals good credit, good access to money. Good friends give you access to things and maybe money.
Yeah, the network, huh? That works.
You got to network a little bit. That's probably, networking is very positive on that. But with the construction piece, normally you have to just show proof that you know how to build homes. Normally, you have to submit a couple projects that you did. You have like $1 million insurance policy and something else, and then the lender could approve you through the VA to do that. So it's not too hard of a process to do, but yes, sometimes having a friend will help you in that process. Or if you have equity in the property, like I said, you can do a self-build and do a non-VA home loan. VA loans are amazing, but
They are.
Sometimes it may not fit what you're trying to do.
Yeah, no, great question too by Comment Bulldozer, because I was curious as well. I'm like, I thought, hey, if I'm a licensed contractor, if I know how to do the deal, and build homes, why not? But you answered it beautifully. Thank you for that. So David, man, before we I don't want to take up more of your time. I want to be respectful of your time. But what would you leave the vets out there in the audience with as far as using the VA home loan, as far as using their VA benefits?
I would say if you have, how do I phrase this? Not everyone's looking right now, right? But a lot of
She's taking a second to think, I think.
Pause for effect.
It's a great pause.
Oh, the pause?
All right, we got you there. I don't know what happened. I thought you were pausing for effect. I was like, that's a hell of a pause.
No, I would tell you this, is that search the channel, go into search, and it's anything that you're looking for. And also, the thing with let's say housing, there's a lot of information that gets passed on from one person to the next. And just like your benefits, there's so many myths that are out there that we as veterans self-restrict ourselves because we don't know the actual facts, right? Even just like searching for benefits. So just check out the channel so you can search for anything. We're always doing live events about different topics, all related on housing, budget, credit. Benefits are going to be being impacted, right? You need to understand that process so you know where you stand. And for a lot of other veterans, it's the same thing. Like I know a lot about VA disability benefits, all about local programs, tax benefits, things that I don't do myself, but I can educate another veteran, at least point them to the right resources so they can take advantage of those benefits. Like that's one of the biggest things. And I'm sure you guys do the same thing, right? You put out content so people can educate themselves and then be a leader in their communities to be like, oh, by the way, like I overheard someone talking like, oh, my tax exemption, I couldn't get it because my value went up. And I'm like, well, the rules have changed. They changed like a year ago. You can now get an exemption up to 750,000. So I just cut their bill by $10,000 a year. Just from overhearing someone else, I wasn't even part of the conversation. But I walked over and I said, hey, I overheard you guys. This is how it works. Like this is what you can do now. I got their information, and then a couple months later, I got a text like, hey, thank you. We saved a bunch of money. So it's like when you can be a carrier of information. I mean, I leave you with that and budget. Please budget.
Each one teach one. And budget. I love that, man.
That's right.
I love that, dude.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah.
I like that we all have
man.
black shirts on. This is great.
That's it, right? It looks like we're under, just one big black shirt. We just have to sync our backgrounds, and it looks like we're just sitting next to each other, shoulder to shoulder.
And it's funny because we have like different varying of beards. Like you have a straight beard, I have a beard mustache, and then you have a full beard.
In
like,
ascending order.
Yeah,
right.
It's like what happens, before and after, right? The progression here.
Love it.
Yeah, awesome, man. David, man, thank you for coming on, dude. What a wealth of information. Yeah, VA Housing Education is the name of his channel. Please definitely check him out. Like and subscribe to his channel, please, and get informed. Budget and each one teach one, man. I love that, David. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, dude, that, it's always good when you learn about these benefits that we have earned and use them, and dude, David is a wealth of information, dude. Hold on, I'm just doing some background stuff here. Wealth of information. I mean, he answered questions that I didn't know about, Combat Bulldozer has some questions there. About building his own stuff. Like he may have the knowledge and the ability to build homes himself. However, the VA will not allow it based on whatever rules they have. Like you have to go with somebody outside, a third party. And I know like Navy cops like, hey, now, hell no, now we're not. Now we're required to have friends. Well, I mean, yes, I suppose, right? You have to know somebody. So good stuff, man. And I've used the VA home loan myself many times, and I think it's a great piece of gear, great benefit. I know folks who have used them to buy, multiplexes or whatever it is, duplexes and triplexes. It's an insanely good benefit, especially if you can rate the waiver of the funding fee. And I think David mentioned it's 10% or more.
Disability.
VA disability, and that
rating.
waives your funding fee. Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
Let me see. I got, who wrote that? It was U.S. Army grunt. I'm just missing my glasses. I got my glasses, and I do some reading at night in my room, so I left my glasses out there. I wish I would have brought them out here with me.
Yeah. I just went and got the old people glasses, so I don't have to take them off and put them back on, because then they get broken, get sat on, get dirty.
Yeah, no, mine are all VA freaking provided glasses. So no more buying stuff for me, man. Let me see. Just going to the comments here real quick. Yeah, absolutely. U.S. Army grunt, man. Thanks for coming by, dude. Navy cop channel I will be reviewing as I start building my plan for the ultimate Idaho move, starting from almost zero knowledge. Dude, I'm very curious about your plans for that Idaho move, man. Are you going to be like, I saw somewhere in there about a bunker. Somebody mentioned a bunker. Like what's the Navy cop compound looking like? I'm curious. And are you going to throw like a housewarming party?
Right.
Let me know.
That'd be awesome.
U.S. Army grunt. VA home loans nowadays is better than 1986. When I first got a house back then, and have used it 2 more times since. More changes and options nowadays. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing with the VA, man. It's ever changing, dude. It's always
Yeah.
updating, so um there's always new legislation coming out. I mean, we just saw that Sherry Briley and Eric Edmondson Act just passed the House. I made a whole video on this thing. So it went from the introduction phase to passing the House. Now it has to go to the Senate, then to the president's desk, and then it becomes law potentially. We'll see how that goes. But I was always curious, like, how are they going to be using this? How are they going to be funding that, right? Like, they're going to be providing these disabled veterans, severely disabled veterans, with like, I think it was like 10,000 and $10,000. I'm like, where's that money coming from? But of course, they're going to make changes to like funding fees and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
they got to fund it somehow.
Yeah, and it's really interesting what David mentioned about the tacking on 1 point or 1% to your funding or to whatever in the process of the VA loan process for everybody across the board, I guess is what it sounded like. And
Yep.
I mean, 1% doesn't sound like a lot, but if you multiply that by potentially hundreds of thousands of people using VA loans,
Yes,
that's a lot of money, dude. That's a lot of cash.
it becomes
And
a
that's
lot.
yeah, and that's why that's what they do when they negotiate your home loans or any kind of loans. Really, they go off of your credit rating and some other stuff, and then they say, okay, well, this will make it 1 point higher or 1 point lower, or we have to add a point because of this. And that's kind of their way of saying, we need to take a little bit of more money and get paid for what we're doing here. So yeah, it's crazy. It's interesting, but it's good. And like you said, it's always changing, ever evolving, sometimes in the good way, sometimes in the bad way. But
Yeah.
like Dave also mentioned, and you said as well, the best time to figure out if you want to buy a house is now. And the best time to prepare for that is yesterday. So
Yeah. I mean, the amount of people that I've heard, like, man, if only I would have purchased a home when I was a fetus. Like, the amount of like things like that I've heard, like, man, when I was like, what was I doing with my time? I should have purchased a home when I was in kindergarten or something,
right.
That's 20, 30, 40 years ago, whatever. I mean, so they're just going to go up. They're not, I mean, I think he mentioned it the right way, and I've also mentioned this myself, like, they're not making any more land unless you live like near like Hilo, Hawaii, where the lava flows like crazy outside of Kilauea. There's not more land being made. I mean, you can go out there to Hawaii, that area of Hawaii. There's like houses sitting on lava fields. It's just black lava fields and a house in the middle. They're just like building houses there. I don't know if you have to like buy that house or buy that land. I'm not sure. It's just black lava fields. But yeah, they're not making any more land. Get out there and get something if you can.
Yeah.
U.S. Army grunt, can active duty personnel get VA loans? And I did in 1986. Not sure about the second part of the question. The first part, can active duty personnel get VA loans? Absolutely, yes.
Yep.
Done it a few
100%.
times while I was active duty. So yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah, the thing we alluded to earlier was Title 32 folks, the National Guard and Reserve, being able to get access to that faster than spending 6 years to wait to get access. Said basically after you finish your initial schooling, after your boot camp, basic training, whatever you want to call it, and basically immediately after that, or shortly after that, you can get access as a Title 32 member now, whereas before you had to wait a certain amount of time, which was, I believe was 6 years, he said.
Yeah.
So that shortens things up, and that's actually really, really good, because that Title 32 folks get the short end of the stick on a lot of stuff. And for a lot of Title 32 members, like, they're just regular people out in the civilian world who just happen to put on the uniform 1 week a month, 2 weeks a year, or whatever case that may be. They deploy as well, sometimes a lot more than active duty. And then they go back home, and then they're back in their civilian life and back in their civilian job. So having access as quickly as possible to a VA loan to be able to help them build their families, because they don't have that active duty support, and they're still supporting the government and the country in uniform. That just makes sense. Like, I don't even know why that wasn't ever a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you raise your right hand to support and defend, right? Why not get some of the benefits as well? Let me see your Navy cop. Okay, he said, looking at 20 acres, and a place for vets to relax on weekends. So I'm very curious about that Navy cop, because you could potentially turn that into some sort of a nonprofit where you would, get grants from there. You use that money to build up the place, as long as you stay within the requirements of a nonprofit, like a veterans retreat or something like that. Because 20 acres is no small place. So you can definitely build a retreat on there and get grants for it, depending on what Idaho offers, or maybe federal grants or something. I know a friend of mine he got 30 acres of land in Alabama, and he's building a veterans retreat out there. He has a nonprofit, so he's using that to build that up. So it's very, very real potential. Looking at some of these comments here. Buying a house is great until you have a data center coming to town. Hey man, just rent out the house, dude. People are gonna need somewhere to live. Rent it out.
Yep.
Build an ADU if you can, an additional dwelling unit in the backyard.
Yeah, and that's also a good way to look at things. If you're coming off active duty, if you're retiring, or like whatever, if you're making your very first house purchase, and you're not so attached to the idea of just like, I have to build a house or buy a house that's my own just for me. Like, you can buy up to I believe it's a fourplex, within, of course, the funding specifications, but you can buy a fourplex and rent out the other 3 apartments or whatever, the other 3 parts of the building, however that building's set up. And you can essentially just pay for the house through renting. Of course, you've got to be a landlord and manage the property and do all that stuff. But if you can manage that and do it over potentially a shorter amount of time, 15 years or whatever, say 20 years, you could then have that paid off, use that as equity on another property to buy your forever home or whatever you want to do with that money, right? And still build income. Like, that's how you build income and build wealth. It's an income stream, basically 3 income streams, really. If you do it right.
And I'll share a little bit about a Marine that I had that worked for me. Great guy. He bought a place. Actually, it was one of the places I went to go see as I was looking at purchasing a property, but it was kind of outside of where I wanted to live. And I was looking at the school districts and all that stuff. So kind of outside of where I wanted to be. But this man bought a home that was being refurbished or, just remodeled or whatever. And it had 2 ADUs, additional dwelling units in the back, 1-bedroom homes, essentially, 2 of them, because it was on a pretty big property. And on top of that, it was a dual, I guess, a duplex. So it was like a family could live on the bottom, a family could live upstairs. There was like an external stairway.
Yep.
So this man lives upstairs now, rents out the downstairs, and rents out the additional dwelling units. His mortgage is paid for.
Exactly.
Like, he doesn't have to worry about that, So very smart move by this dude. I mean, he paid a pretty penny for it. It was over $1 million, but it's getting paid for.
Yeah.
As long as he has somebody in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me see here. Question about the Homestead Act. Is it still available? Homestead Act. That's like from 1862. I'm looking at it right now. Allowed any U.S. citizen or person intending to become one who was the head of a household and at least 21 to claim 160 acres of surveyed federal land in exchange. Homesteaders paid a small filing fee and committed to living on and cultivating the land for 5 years. Cultivating the land for 5 years. It's in the National Archives, so I don't know if it's still active. I guess I'd have to look that up here.
1869 to 1871, extending the benefits of Homestead Act to officers, soldiers, or sailors honorably discharged from the service of the United States.
Yeah, it shows on the National Park Service. Homestead Act remained in effect until 1976, with provisions for homesteading in Alaska until 1986. We just missed it. Missed it there, freaking Tony Slaughter.
A U.S. Army grunt might have got it.
1986, right?
No.
I was I was still learning how to walk at that time. I don't know if oh man, homebody Miss
No.
Katie, welcome. Yeah, so it's a lot. As you can see, a lot of changes. Right, the Homestead Act that would have been incredible, right? You're at least 21. You can claim 160 acres if you cultivate it, right? Make a farm or whatever it is. That is an
That's a
amazing
lot
deal,
of acres.
dude. I would learn how to farm if I can get on that Homestead Act, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would. What would I even? I can't even keep a freaking the plants outside alive. I don't know what the hell I'd farm. Goats, maybe goats.
Hard to get the grass to even grow, let alone a farm.
Oh, bro, yeah. It's not growing out here, man. It's not growing out here. 1986, he was a drill sergeant. He said, "See, instead of being a drill sergeant, you could have went to Alaska and got yourself 160 acres." Damn it, U.S. Army grunt. Come on now. If only, right? But what better time than now to look at somewhere to live, to get into a property? Yeah, a lot of great benefits out there for vets, man. And there's stuff. I know we've talked about, like the education stuff as well. For folks out there, you could be up to 62 years old for this new education benefit coming out for the VA. It has not even opened up yet. It actually opens up in June.
Yep.
So here in a few days. I don't know when exactly in June, but that's what it says on the VA website. If you have exhausted all of your GI Bill benefits, you still qualify for this benefit. You can be up to 62 years old, and it doesn't provide you a degree, but it provides you some kind of certification and some kind of IT management or software, computer software. And the one of the best perks of this is while you're going through the course, it will give you a monthly housing allowance. Okay. Usually those monthly housing allowances are equivalent to an E5 with dependents BAH rate. So it's called Vet Tech 2.0. Okay. They used to have the Vet Tech, and now they changed up some rules and all that stuff. Now, if you have GI Bill available, it takes a 1-for-1 swap, right? So 1 month of Vet Tech 2.0 will take 1 month of GI Bill. So use it wisely, because it's not for degree seeking programs, but it does also give you the monthly housing allowance, and you can use it until you're 62 years old. So very good stuff out there.
Yep. Lots of changes, lots of things going on, lots of stuff going on. And if you don't already know, which you should already know, but if you don't know, thank you, Vic, for putting this thing together. We'll be doing a live stream roundtable tomorrow for Memorial Day. And
That's right.
We will have a plethora of YouTube YouTube folks talking about veteran things. We're not going to have Marquez Brownlee or anybody like that. Mr. Beast is not showing up, but yeah, been putting it together for a few weeks, probably more than that, and getting it finalized and locked up. We've been talking about it last couple times. That will be tomorrow. What time is that going to be? 7 p.m. East Coast time?
7 p.m. East Coast or Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Yes. So it's been kind of in the works for quite some time, at least the last few weeks. It all kind of started with this gentleman here. Hold on a second. There's a little Irish pennant or whatever that's kind of wiggling around in the air, and it's pissing me off this little cloth thing here. I've been watching it this whole time. It's giving me like twitches and shit. No, so I want to give a shout out, and I don't know if he's in the room right now, but Mr. Robert Chalklab, okay, one of the viewers of the channel. He mentioned it at one point. He's like, "Hey man, it'd be great if you guys got together and did this." And I'm like, "Yeah, it sounds good. It would be great. Why not? Different aspects, different mindsets, perspectives. You got VA claims. You got Doc Sharma, who talks about the psychology aspect of it. How it hits you in your mindsets. John and I, we talk about, the military civilian transition and life after the uniform. I'm like, different perspectives. What an amazing group of people to come together. So that's how it all started. I just shot an email out. I've had email contact with these people before, Raider HQ, the Civ Div, Concise Psych, Salty Old Marine, and Salty Old Marine is going to be there as well. And he talks to a lot of veterans who are over, I think, 50, right? So very, very good stuff that he puts out. So I shout out the email, and that's it. I'm like, hey, look, got this idea. What do you all think about this? We got Memorial Day coming up. Let's get together, do like this virtual roundtable, and just talk a little bit about those who came before us, pay the ultimate sacrifice, and talk about what we do on YouTube, for the veteran community. So it was great. They all agreed. Everybody was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, that's awesome. To give back to the veteran community, to folks who are just trying to learn or trying to find their purpose and mission, man. What a great group of folks.
Yeah, it's good. It's what I like to see. It's the concentric circles of communities overlapping, the people in all these different communities together, getting together, overlapping with each other and seeing each other and meeting each other, maybe in the chat or through conversations. It's really, really good. And it's good that everybody involved is like really, really positive, and we're trying to do the good work. It's a lot of extra hours and a lot of things that we got to do in the background to make things happen. As U.S. Army Grunt mentioned, I might need some extra coffee tomorrow, but totally worth it. Totally worth the small sacrifice that you got to make. I mean, if it was an op order and I had to do some mission, I would do the same, right? So just carry that over into the civilian world, into regular life. But yeah, man, appreciate you putting that together and getting that all set up. That's a really big thing.
It's fun, man. It's fun. Why not?
Yeah. And then you also mentioned a couple times, and I don't know if you want to mention it here as well, but any of the like super likes and all that stuff that comes in, you're going to try to take that and funnel that into a nonprofit to be named yet. Still, you're still parsing through that.
Yeah, that's right. So absolutely. Every so often when I do like some of these live streams, somebody will drop like a super like, or I don't know what you call them. It's essentially a donation, right? Like you donate to the channel or whatever. And it's great because it helps to pay for things that, software and stuff that we use. So yeah, anybody who donates maybe a super chat or super like or whatever you call those things to the Green Logbook for tomorrow's live stream, I will take all that money and donate all of that to a veteran nonprofit. And I've donated to maybe like 5 different ones. There's one that I'm really looking at, and they help homeless veterans. So, and I've actually volunteered with the organization in the past, like actually boots on the ground and helping out these folks. But they do some great stuff. But I'm still looking to see who needs the help, and and donating all that money. Whoever donates tomorrow to the Green Logbook, all that money, rest assured, it is going to go to a veteran nonprofit.
Yeah. We need a few more watch hours before we can get to that point on the military retirement podcast where we can start taking money in and donating it to people. But
absolutely,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, and then I just read the comment from Navy Cop here. Navy Cop says, "Here's hoping Vic doesn't get blocked on any of those channels between now and then." No, so I get along with all those channels. I'm very good with all of them. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I have been blocked on channels, and it's I'm still unsure why. But yeah, there's channels out there who. Let's put it like this. I live in their mind rent free, and I'm okay with that.
Just taking life 1/4 mile at a time.
That's it, man. I'm living my life just fine. Let me do my Kermit the Frog sip here real quick. Thank you. Let me see. Yeah, there you go. U.S. Army Grunt, super chat. Yes. That's exactly what I was talking about. All that stuff is going to get donated to a nonprofit. All that stuff. Let me see here. What else was I going to bring up? I sit there and I write all these notes at night, and I'm like, man, I don't know what it, because I'm half asleep half the time, so I'm scribbling, and my pen goes off, and then I'll wake up in the morning, and I'm like, my face is on the journal, and I'm like, oh shit, you know these things, you know how it goes. There is a few things that, and I'm curious the folks out there who are watching, what kind of topics do you want brought up tomorrow? I'm not saying that we can get to all those things, but there's a few folks that commented on the channel. They mentioned helpless child claim. I didn't know that was a thing. The helpless child claim. If you look that up, I guess it helps. Well, actually, I looked it up the other day. I can't even tell you what it's about. Helpless child claim, something that
allows veterans with a 30% or higher disability rating to continue receiving dependent benefits for an adult child who became permanently incapable of self-support due to a mental or physical disability before reaching age 18.
there you go. So
Interesting.
there's one of the viewers from the Green Law Book I did a live stream the other day, and they mentioned, hey, let's look into the helpless child claim. I was like, I have no idea what that is. Had to look it up. And I mean, it's a legit thing. Why not talk about it a little bit? What? Yeah, so helpless child claim. Somebody asked about VA benefits for at-home business grants. I'm not sure of too many at-home business grants. I know a lot of them are state dependent as well. So I've looked that up myself, and specifically veteran at-home business grants. So I'll do some digging on that stuff. This is what Vic can't call it, is old age fun. It could be. I mean, I usually my bedtime is like 10. And 10, and I was up around 11:30 and writing some stuff down. So I usually take that last hour before I go to sleep to either read or write or do something, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if it's so much old age. I don't know. I don't. If it is, I'm fighting it, because I don't want to call it old age. My man, the Service Connection, awesome. We got Bruce. So Bruce from Claim Climbers, man, he just started his channel not too long ago, the Service Connection. Stopping in to say good morning, afternoon, guys. Awesome, man. He's doing some good stuff. Hey, Bruce, I like the video you put out there with that gentleman you were speaking with. I think it's the latest video you put out there. Good stuff, man. I'm glad to see that gentleman finally got, after so many years, finally got his VA rating. It's good to see that. Good to see that. Yeah. Hey, you know what? U.S. Army grunt. Yes. At least I got a little bit of a smile on Vic's face. This is one of the few times here on this podcast that I do have a smile on my face. Normally I don't. I have been told by somebody that I'm like, you have a very stoic attitude. I'm like, what does that mean? And this is before I started reading anything about it. I think it's built from time in uniform, where it's like you just want to, like, not have a personality, but act the part of a leader, and that's kind of implanted in my head. So there was minimal smiling coming from my part. It was just all business. And this is one of the few times where I do have a smile on my face. So
yeah,
thank you all.
50 year. Yeah. Hey, man. Good to see you. I have to check out your podcast. I've got it pulled up on my screen right now. So checking it out.
Yeah. So the gentleman he was talking with, 50 years he went without a VA disability claim, and then 50 years after, he got, I think it was 100%. And I'm like, can you imagine the amount of money that not that he lost, but I think Bruce, you said it the right way. Like he saved the government so much money over the course of 50 years that he wasn't receiving a disability claim.
It's a lot of money. Eat some Italian dinner. Yeah, no doubt. I eat Italian dinner every night, actually.
Let me see. Yeah. Schedule John for a podcast.
Absolutely, man.
U.S. Army grunt here. The
Yeah,
stoic
let me,
chief officer is right. Taking Marcus Aurelius a little too. Speaking of that, I lost my old copy of this, and I went out to the bookstore and I just picked this one up. So yes, you might be right
Motivation.
there. U.S. Army grunt. Yeah, but I mean, it's not about not having fun. It's about kind of seeing life in a different perspective, I think. Because I do have fun. Like, I'm with my family, I laugh and I have a good time. But when it comes down to business and I need to concentrate on things, it is like, no crap, let's get things done. And it's just switching the brain, I suppose. Let's see what we got here. What are you looking up there, John? You look like you're in deep thought.
Just dropping something in the chat real quick.
Okay. Maybe cop and grunt, give a sub. Oh yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you haven't already gone to the Service Connection podcast or on YouTube, definitely give them a sub. They are Bruce is awesome. He's doing some good things.
Yep. Done and done.
Backwards law. Good afternoon, good morning from my side.
Yeah, what's up?
I did, real quick, I did want to bring, since we're on the topic of not just VA housing, but also VA benefits and potentially VA claims, there was something I saw on Task and Purpose. We all know what Task and Purpose is, right? Task and Purpose. And let's see.
It's like the government's version of the Inquirer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's something like that, right? So I was reading this yesterday, and they came out with this. This was published 2 days ago, and I'm thinking about making a video on this one too, but let me share this here, if it will allow me. Unaccredited VA claims company charged veteran $21,000 in violation of federal law. What the hell is this? Get out of here. Federal law judge rules. Okay, and North Carolina judge ruled that Veterans Guardian VA Claim Consulting LLC acted as an accredited agent, even though it wasn't. You can all read the article on here, and essentially what they're doing is they're calling out some of these claim sharks now, right? I don't know about this company. Like, I think I've heard of them before, but I have no reason to look up other VA claims companies or anything like that after I got my VA claim. But it's incredible, $21,000 to do a VA claim. It says in one instance, a former Army intelligence analyst used them to submit his first disability claim. According to court documents, he received a disability rating of 100% and monthly compensation of $42,7280. The company charged him $21,360. He paid the company more than $19,000 and still has an outstanding balance of $2,100. So I wasn't aware. Like, the highest I've seen so far was when not this company, but when somebody contacted me and asked for 17 grand. I'm like, that's incredible that folks are paying these amounts when, I mean, I understand that there's a need to fill because things are backed up, right? You can go to an accredited VSO, DAV, or, VFW or something like that. But what happens when they're backed up? People look at these claim sharks, but 21,000, man, well, that is an exorbitant amount. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Actually, need to still go back and reconnect and see if I can link up with my VSO people in the States if I can, or here, one of the two, because I gotta start processing some more stuff. Got some more medical results back on some things. So
yeah, absolutely, man. Go out and get what you burned, dude. Go out and get what you burned. Let me see. Go into the comments real quick. Bruce, yeah, I just saw your comment there. Yeah, I look forward to that episode, man. U.S. Army Navy cop. Yeah, sarcasm is my crush, dude. Sometimes sarcasm can get me in trouble. Sometimes, yeah, I'll leave it at that. It can get me in trouble sometimes. Yes, Bruce, please send me the naughty list. We talked about that. I need the naughty list. Yeah, there you go. So the service connection, all my company does is write nexus letters which have nothing to do with what to do, and we do not take money from the vet. Excellent. Good stuff, man. Oh, I still owe some to Trajector Medical. We've talked about it before, yes. But if this goes through, possibly it will affect all of this company and trigger refunds minus. Yeah, it's not the worst. Not the worst. It's the coin of the realm. It's good stuff. Good stuff. John, man, I went to, not me, my wife went to a, here in San Diego, I'm sure other places have them. They have these like reading fairs, like book fairs and stuff like that. And they were giving out free books. And she sent me a picture. She's like, do you want one of these? I'm like, yes, please, because my copy is terrible. And this copy is beautiful. It is The Art of War.
Nice.
It's completely free. And I'm like, dude, can we?
Yeah.
Let's go to these every week, please. Let's pick up some of these. And I'm very curious if folks out there and would be interested in doing some kind of like a book club or reading club or something like that. If anybody else likes to read books and just talk about different things, potentially, that could be something that we do and meet up in a kind of a closed type of, either do it on live stream or kind of a closed type of meeting and talk about what we think about different chapters or something like that. It could be anything. Like the Odyssey movie's coming out. We can read the Odyssey. That's pretty cool. But curious if anybody else is interested in something like that.
Yeah, I've been a part of a few different book reading clubs and groups, and they seem to work the best, or at least I've seen them work their best whenever it's this one specific book for one specific duration of time, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 1 week per chapter, something like that. I don't know how, because a lot of those groups, they'll start and then they'll talk about a book and then they'll be pretty specific on how they want to do it. And then eventually they'll just kind of dissipate and fade off and disappear. And I haven't been part of a long-term book group before, but I've been part of many short-term book groups.
Would be good. What do you got? You got some books in your hand. What do you got there?
Yeah, when you were talking about books, I just picked this one up and I haven't read it yet. It was actually, so you may see the studio turn into a disaster area. It may turn into a whole nother room shortly. We're in the process of getting construction materials delivered. I think somebody in the chat had mentioned they're doing it was our guest. He had mentioned he was getting ready to do a renovation, getting ready to do the same myself. And I just have random shit laying all over my desk now and all around the room. I've got my chef knives down there, and I've got oil filters on my desk and just random stuff. And a pile of books always is around me at some point, whether it's upstairs, downstairs, in the garage. But I ordered some stuff off of Amazon the other day, and this just happened to be sitting in my Amazon cart. And I was like, I put this in there for a reason. I couldn't remember why I put it in there. So I usually just tag them, throw them in the cart, and then eventually, if I need something, I'll just throw them together with a cart and just order it together. Sure. But this book is a very interesting looking read. It says, I'll read the back cover for you. It says, these two works on life's fleeting pleasures are by Buddhist monks from medieval Japan, but each shows a different perspective. In the short memoir, Hojoki, am I saying that right? Can you see the title?
Sounds good to me. Sounds Kenko and Chomei. Oh, Hojoki, yeah.
Hojoki and Chomei. recounts his decision to withdraw from worldly affairs and live as a hermit in a tiny hut in the mountains, contemplating the impermanence of human existence. Kenko, however, displays a fascination with more earthly matters in his collection of anecdotes, advice, and observations. From ribald stories of drunken monks to aching nostalgia for the fading traditions of the Japanese court, Essays in Idleness is a constant, surprising work that ranges across the spectrum of human experiences.
You had me at Drunken Monks, man.
Drunken Monk. That's a great band name.
Drunken Monks, huh? And everybody has to dress like a monk.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I picked this up, and then I've got a couple that I was trying to read back through as I'm going through this kind of rewriting phase of book stuff. I got one called Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. How to use the right word, how to pronounce it, how to spell it, how to avoid illiterate expressions, how to speak grammatically without embarrassing mistakes. And then one of my favorite books on writing and just some great literary advice, I guess, is a nice little book called Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott, one of my
I've heard of Bird by
favorite
Bird.
authors. Yeah, it's a great book on it's a meta book on writing. Oh, look, I even have a dollar stuffed in there as a as a bookmark. Nice. Totally forgot about that. Nice.
So I know I brought it up to you, John, before. I actually sent you a text about this one. I'm halfway done with this guy right here. Got my little bookmark in there.
Yeah.
But this one is the Courage to Be Disliked, the Japanese phenomenon that shows you how to change your life and achieve real happiness. And it's an interesting read in that the entire book is a conversation between a philosopher and a youth. So there's not like paragraphs, but literally it is like this: philosopher and youth. It's just
So like
a
back and forth
conversation
dialogue.
back and forth dialogue. Very interesting. They go through, and it kind of opened up my eyes to Adlerian psychology.
Okay.
So they talk a lot about it in here. So I'm kind of like doing deep dives on that now. But very, very interesting, man. I definitely recommend this one, The Courage to Be Disliked. It does mention, it mentions like the more you are disliked, the more freedom you have. It's kind of a strange thing, but they go into it here, and it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like, what's that movie? The Way of the Warrior. Way of the Warrior?
No idea.
Something like that. There's a warriors. I'll remember the name of it. I want to say it was like Nick Nolte in it, but basically it was like this philosopher, like trainer guy was kind of like the philosopher, and I think
is that the one that Navy Cop just mentioned? Bushido, The Way of the Warrior?
No.
Okay.
That's a great book as well. And if you want to dig into that kind of philosophy, you could also check out a book called The Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, I believe is the name. A great little book to read through. But yeah, there's this, what the hell's the name of it? They made a great book on it, and they made a movie on it. It was really, really good. But basically it was the trainer and then the kid who was being trained, and the philosophy conversation that went back and forth between the two, because the trainer was like in his, I don't know, 50s, 60s or whatever, and the kid was young, 18, 19, 20, and always butting heads. But the trainer always took the philosophical kind of approach to it, and the way to train him and teach him and speak to him. I have to remember the name of that movie. But that's what that book sounds like. It sounds really similar, at least the way they've got it set up, structured.
It is really good, man. Definitely recommend it. And I think Backwards Law has it the right way here, man. He mentioned it. The idea, when you don't care what others think, you don't spend time trying to please them. Yeah. So it's exactly. I think you hit it right on the head with that.
Yeah.
And it does give you a sense of freedom. The Peaceful Warrior.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like. You ever seen that movie?
No. but it does give you it does give you a sense of freedom, right? When you just stop caring about it, it just doesn't take up your time and your mind. There you go. The Karate Kid is that's what
Another
I
great
thought
book.
you were alluding to as well. The
No,
Karate
no,
Kid,
no.
like
The
Mr. Miyagi and
Peaceful
Daniel's
Warrior.
son. Daniel's son, yeah.
Let's see, 2006, right? 2006. Peaceful Warrior, 2006. Great book and great movie, both. Excellent movie.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see what we got here. Looking at some of these comments here. Tony Slaughter asked, "Hey, you guys ever watched videos on forgotten history?" I think I have. I think I have watched videos on that. I'm a big history buff myself. So
Oh yeah,
big, yeah.
you should. Where did it go?
Not that I know much of it. I just like to watch it and read about it.
Recommend. Let me see if I can find this. I just came across a link today for history buffs are trying to get a little more entertaining version of history. Let me see if I can find it. Life in ancient times. So what is it called? Chloe versus history. CHLOE versus history. It's on I believe it's on YouTube. And it's basically using AI to recreate historical depictions from like a long time ago.
Yeah. I just came across an Instagram account this morning from that. I don't know how it landed on my page, but it was like AI history or something like that. And it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in stuff like the ancient Aztecs, ancient Mayans, Incas, things like that, and how Pizarro came in. Francisco Pizarro came in and kind of took over all of that because they had the guns and the germs and the steel, right? So
that's actually a great book too.
It is a great book, yes. So so they kind of took over everything and then left these lands with just a ton of just germs, right? That all these people were never exposed to, and they kind of killed off the civilizations from there. So it's very interesting. Very interesting.
What's even more interesting about the like the Mayan culture and the historical sites and that kind of stuff is the people who were there before who actually built the stuff. Because I think the Mayans and the Aztecs and a couple of those cultures, I mean, we see things like Machu Picchu and things like that. They didn't actually build that stuff. The culture, the most recent culture that we know of that we have historical data on, just came in and built on top of those structures that were there. Like those structures have been there for a long time.
I think it's the Chimu culture before the Incas. I should probably know this, or the Moche culture, since I'm Peruvian, so I should probably know this, right?
You should. Your passport just got revoked. You've been canceled.
Yeah. Dude, I've been to Machu Picchu like I don't know four times, So it's, but no, very interesting stuff, man. Very interesting stuff. So I love that. So in the middle of Lima, and it's right next to a gas station. It's like this little area where who was it? Pizarro told the Incan ruler that he wanted. Essentially, that he was taking over his land, and he wanted this room filled with gold, and they killed him off at that point, right? And that room still stands in the middle of in the middle of the city, but it's surrounded by like just businesses and stuff. You can walk right by it. It's incredible. It's like right next to a gas station.
Nice.
Yeah, it's crazy how these places still stand, right? I'm looking at some of these here. Navy Cop says, "But taking chance tomorrow. It is now my required to watch a Memorial Day list." All right.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm curious too. Like, what are some good Memorial Day movies to watch? And what are folks doing on Memorial Day? Are you all visiting like veteran cemeteries? Are you all getting together with people in remembrance of the occasion of Memorial Day? What are folks doing? What are your plans for tomorrow? And John, I'd ask you the same question.
Yeah, I usually try to hit at least one Memorial Day kind of remembrance gathering, whether that's in front of the high school on the base. It's a very limited amount of stuff that I can do here. If I was in, say, France or something like that, there's a ton of different places. There's a ton of
Yeah.
burial sites and memorial sites set up in France and in certain places of Germany. I think here we have one, but it's really a German, like a World War II kind of commemorative site here, and it's German. But as far as American stuff, France would be the hot spot for people in Europe because they got a bunch of different places you can go. You can go straight to Champs-Élysées in Paris. They have different things. You can go to Normandy. You can go to what's that place, Verdun, where they have a lot of the World War I sites right there in that area, and the trenches and all that stuff dug out in the ground and still have stuff there. But usually I'll try to check out something on the base, and it's usually like a short little memorial ceremony where everybody gives a moment of silence. They have a couple people speak. They do some kind of color guard event, and then go on with my day if I'm working. If I'm not working, try to catch one or two of those.
They make you work on Memorial Day?
Sometimes. Depends what the workload is, man.
Oof. That's rough. Yeah, that's let's read some of these comments here. And I'm looking to go to a Memorial Day event myself, and just be around folks who they're doing their thing and remembering the past. And we live near some veteran cemeteries as well, so there's usually like little flags that you place on the graves, on the grave sites. So looking forward to taking part in that as well. And Navy Cop says 10 a.m. there's a Memorial Day event at Vancouver Military Barracks, flyover air guard at 15s. And you stop at the National Cemetery on the way home. Yeah. Backwoods Law. I was out yesterday with some Boy Scout troops here, placing flags at the National Cemetery. Let a few know about BASIC, that we were talking to recruiters to give them a brief read on it. Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, I went to an event yesterday. They have like a little street fair around here, and so I stopped by an event yesterday and saw like some Marine recruiters, and you can't not talk to these recruiters, right? And they always have the pull-up bar up there, and I see them, and I cannot contain myself. So I have to say, all right, all the way down, one, like you're not doing them right. You have to lock out your arms and all that and go back up. And then I asked him, I was like, hey man, what do can I still join? Without telling them who I was or anything like that. Like, hey man, how old do you have to be to still join? And they're like, oh, I think we can make an exception for you, sir. I was like, go kick rocks, dude. I'm done with that life. And he's like, hey, you know what? You can, give it all up and come out of retirement. I'm like, nah. I'm good, man. The way things are changing now, I think I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm curious too with folks out there, like, hey, if you could join again, would you join again? Would you join the military again? I'd ask you the same thing, John.
Yeah, I mean, I would do it all over again. I wouldn't change the course of my history. Today. They're
like, yeah, we need you, John. We need you. Would you be willing to drop everything you've got going on and join today
If I could,
and get a
if I could
uniform.
have the one MOS that would allow me to stay right here where I'm at for the next 20 years, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I agree. It has to work the right way, right? Like, hey, get me in the right MOS. I don't mind the pay. I mean, the pay was all right, right? I mean, once you get into those higher ranks, they become all right. Get the BAH, all the stuff and all that,
Yeah.
insurance and all that. But I mean, I've grown kind of accustomed to retired life now. You know, at first it was rocky, but then I've grown accustomed to it, and you know, got my rhythm now. So it'd be hard to switch gears, I think, to go back. Backwards Law said it would have been funny to see when they find out that you were retired Chief Warrant Officer 3. Yeah, and you know, we talked about that. They're like, "Hey, sir, did you ever serve?" I'm like, "Yeah, a little bit." So and then we got to talking about it. I usually give them my card, right? I'm like, "Hey, look, here's my card, man. I got if you know anybody who's having some trouble, military civilian transition or stuff like that, you know, come check out the YouTube channel."
Yeah.
And of course, I stopped by the American Legion and like, what's going on, man? You know, they're just good group of folks out there. You know, just like, hey, do you ride? I'm like, no, hell no, dude. I had an accident years ago. I don't ride anymore, man. I don't do that. So, no, thank you. Trying to make the most out of my retirement. Oh, there you go, Navy cop, Nettuno Cemetery, Sicily,
right outside of
American
Rome.
Cemetery. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We supported
a little
George
bit far.
Bush when he visited. Yeah, I'd say a little bit far. He said if they would bring me in as a Chief Warrant Officer Security Technician for the Navy, then I would consider it.
No.
As long as you're willing to go through the Chief Warrant Officer training first, then it's all yours there, Navy cop. Would I go through Marine Chief Warrant Officer training or like TBS again? I don't know. It was some of the most some of the toughest / confusing 4 months of my life, of my career.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, because you're essentially doing like a platoon commander training, right? So it's like they teach you all these new things, and you have to know a little bit about every MOS, and it's just bombards you with classes, man, and these stadium seatings. I think I had like 275 students in my class. And just classes and training and E courses and O courses. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I could. I would try to, but to keep up with all that, but I don't know if I'd want to do it. Backwards Law, I have 2 bullshit degrees now. Oh, BS, excuse me. BS degrees.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't think I can handle it. But like I said, if they could reinstate me with my rank and put me in this position here somewhere and let me just homestead here for the next 20 years, yeah, sure. I don't think I would PCS move anymore.
No more PCS move, man. I've already lost enough stuff.
Yeah, I'm good
Enough
with
broken stuff. Yeah. So would they try? They would try to commission you then. Yeah, there you go. You get a field commission. Hey, you went from corporal to captain, right? It's Navy. How hard can it be? Slam on academy grads, drink coffee, hang out with my post degrees. It's all good. That's essentially what. Are you saying that that's what a Chief Warrant Officer does? Just, I mean, that was part of my day, going around just like BS and like, hey, man, you know, go stop skating, go do your work, and then walk around with my coffee mug. You get work done, right? Sometimes you stay a little bit longer than everybody else because you are, you know, just BS.
It's quiet. Because it's quiet. Yeah. You can actually get work done.
You either show up earlier or just stay later, and everybody leaves. And actually, I did enjoy that because I put on some music and then just
zone out,
work. Yeah, zone out, exactly. So I wouldn't mind staying after work. And then, you know, you don't have to deal with the traffic and trash like that, you know, on the way home. So,
and you don't have to answer stupid ass emails either.
Yeah.
6 p.m.
I was joking with this commander one time. Like I had to go brief them on the investigations going on. This colonel, he's like, he, like I knocked on his door, right? And he was like, "Hey, come in, Vic, come in." I'm like, "Hey, sir, what's going on? Good afternoon." So I'm here to brief you on the investigation and all that. He's like, "Yeah, I sent you an email about something else last week." I was like, "Sir, here's the thing: is if it doesn't concern me, I just if it doesn't have my name on it specifically, I just click it and go in the trash." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "I'm just fucking with you, sir. Come on now. I read the email. Let's talk about it." And that dude was about to blow stop.
Yeah. Yeah, they usually do. They usually do. Morning,
Well, I mean,
Mo.
he was always, "Hey, good morning, Mo. Good morning." Yeah, he was. I mean, when you're a base commander, or a commander of a big unit, you're gonna have a lot on your plate. A lot on your plate. Have you ever done like IG inspections?
Yeah.
You've done so.
Fun times. Yeah.
So especially when like a new commander takes over, usually when there's like a change of commander before they do that, they'll bring in a team of inspectors to make sure that everything, they just want to know, the oncoming commander wants to know like, hey, what do I need to focus on?
Yeah.
And at one point, they didn't do it in time. So this is like, I was part of a traveling team, I guess. So I had to go to Okinawa to do this. I was in Hawaii, traveled to Okinawa to do this inspection. And this commander, I guess they didn't get the team in time. And then we did it with the new commander, and we had to go brief the commander. And I'm like, "Hey," and I had a lot of stuff that was wrong, like things that were mislabeled and was never reported. And this dude's like, I can see his face, like as I'm talking to him, he's like visibly like pissed off about all this shit. Because you go in one by one. Yeah, you go in one by one and you brief the CO and the sergeant major or whoever's sitting there, and usually the CO wants to know. He's like, "Hey, so how do we get this right?" I'm like, "Well, fairly easy, but it was never done, so we have to go back years and then just look at this stuff." It's like, I feel you, sir. I feel you, man. Yeah. Trust me. I mean, we can get you up to speed, but I'm hoping he has a good team that's dedicated to this. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh man, no perspective. Will you and Vic do a show about crazy stories during your time served? That would be hilarious. Only if you can also share your stories there, Mo.
Yeah. We should actually do that interactively. We should set up a day for that, something like that, and set it up into 10-minute time blocks and put a timer on with like a annoying chicken sound at the end of the timer, and set it for 10 minutes and have people who want to come on and share. Of course, we share.
Let's do it next Sunday. Let's do it next Sunday.
Blocks. Yeah.
Next Sunday. You want to do it?
Let's look. Yeah, I think the schedule's open next Sunday, right?
Yeah. Props to Mo Perspective. Gave us an idea. Yeah, we'll bring people on and talk about your time. Crazy stuff that happened. I think I already shared one of mine, and
we share them every week. What are you talking about?
I'll kick this pig really quick and kind of show you. I got my old I Love Me. Everybody should have an I Love Me binder. I had this old one here. It's got all my service record stuff and I think Oliver Rust has a great time when I share the story about when I was doing an investigation, and I had to get some information out to NCIS, Naval Criminal Investigative Services, and I had this Lance Corporal that worked for me, and I'm like, "Hey, I need you to make me a copy of this CD." Like I had NCIS get me, or the command gave me everything on the CD. And I wanted a copy for the evidence purposes, and I need to give a copy to NCIS. So I'm like, I need you to make me a copy of the CD, man. And I gave him the CD, and he came back. He came back to my office, knocked on the door. "Sir," and this was like, it was like a minute later. And he's like, "Sir, here you go." I'm like, and I'm looking down. I was like, "How the hell did you, that was quick." And he's like, "Oh yeah, sir, it was pretty quick." And he hands me this, bro. He hands me this. And I'm like, there ain't no way. There ain't no way. I mean,
10th degree of smart assery.
My man, I mean, I kept this paper. I should have had him sign it. I kept this paper all these years in my I Love Me binder here. So this is back when I was a staff sergeant. This dude gave me, I'm like, well, I probably should have been more clear in my directions. Like, this is literally a copy of a CD, right? Like he put the CD on the Xerox machine and press print. But I kind of put my head down and then I go, hey, just go real quick. And I walk next door to the major's office. I'm like, hey, sir, you got a minute real quick? And he's like, oh yeah, what's going on, Vic? And I closed his door and we just fucking laughed at this. We just laughed. I'm like, you'll never guess what this devil dog just freaking gave me. He's like, what is it, Vic? I'm like, look at this. And he's like, get the fuck out, get out of my office with that shit. I'm like, sir, you can't make this stuff up, sir. Come on now. So yes. Officers do talk about the Marines' silliness behind closed doors. Oh, yeah, Mo perspective. He was serious about it. He stood at parade arrest. He's like, here you go, sir. And he stood at parade arrest. And I'm like, and I got my head down. I'm like, I'm still writing. I'm like, what the hell? And I put my pen down. I'm like, ain't no way, man. There ain't no way. Serious. And then I had to, you got to train these folks in this. I'm like, has anybody ever showed you how to use the machine, like the CD burner machine? We had a dedicated, it was like a tower thing. You could burn like 6 CDs at a time.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, sir. I'm like, okay, well, let's go real quick. Give me a second. Let me show you. The Marine didn't know. I got to teach this guy. Got to train him accordingly. So, lesson learned. I'm like, don't just put shit on a Xerox machine and expect to hand that in.
And be specific with orders.
Sometimes you got to be specific with orders, man. What is something that somebody can be construed as something different? Kind of like make me a copy of the CD.
Anything.
What else? Anything, right?
I think we talked about this, and it might have been in the same context about there's a video on YouTube, and I forget the name of it right now, but basically it's how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with my daughter. I think if you search that, you would find it. And basically for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, this guy is trying to explain to his young daughter how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and she's botching it up every step of the way just because of the taking everything so literally.
Yeah. So I when I was at an Army course in Charlottesville, had this amazing instructor, man. He was an Army Chief Warrant Officer 4. Awesome dude. Chief Carroll was his name. And this guy, he asked the class, walk me through how to tie your shoe. And somebody was up there, they're like, you just, put one loop and this. And he's like, that's wrong. Who else has an answer? So what he was looking for was every step of the process, right? Like you bend down at the waist, or you put your leg up on a chair or something like that. And, you extend your arms. So he was looking for every step of the process. The lesson was being detail oriented with things, as a Chief Warrant Officer. And that's kind of like what we're looked at, what people seek when they bring a Chief Warrant Officer into their command. Like, this guy will tell you no crap how things work, without any fluff, and detail oriented. They'll catch shit that other people don't catch, because we're experts in our field, right? And so very cool lesson that I learned. This guy had had that philosophical mind, but he was always very sarcastic. So I was like, are you messing with me, or is this like part of the curriculum? Or yeah. And there you go. My Love Me binder has a ton of stuff in it. Had to move a 2.5-inch binder to keep it. Yeah. So you keep everything in there. I got old photos and, from my staff academy days and, all these courses I've been to. So very cool stuff. Tracy Johnson, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the chat. NCIS, Navy's Criminal Insane Sailors. Yes. So I had some NCIS agents that worked for me, and at one point they were like, "Hey, sir, can we purchase some items that we need?" I'm like, "Yeah. What do you all need?" So they had a witness interrogation room in the back, right? And it was like an old file room that we cleared all the stuff out of. It had like a table and witness interrogation. And they're like, "Yeah, we need this. It's a faux fire alarm, right? That goes up top, and it's actually a camera.
Yeah.
Because when you have a camera in somebody's room, it makes them uncomfortable in the room. Right? It makes them uncomfortable. They won't answer all the questions. So mics around the room, camera up top, stuff like that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." Very cool dudes. Actually, the guy that worked for me, he had his face on the front of the New York Times, I think it was, when they toppled over Saddam Hussein's statue in Baghdad. So he has that iconic photo of the Marine looking up while Saddam Hussein's statue is being toppled over. That was my gunny. Very good, very smart guy, awesome dude. Navy cop. So Navy cop. This is funny. He says, "I need to jump off in a sec. I have a self-employment Zoom." Oh, this is awesome. But also had me laughing the other day when he was on the live stream, and he was like, "Hey, I got to jump off, man. I got a customer, or the boss is here. I got to jump off." And I'm like, "This dude is watching live streams at work."
Nice. Dedication. See, if Navy cop can do it at work,
Yeah.
nobody else has got any excuses.
He might be primed to be a chief warrant officer then.
Yep. Absolutely.
There you go.
All right. I think I'm going to go kick some people out of the house and go make some dinner.
All right, man. Sounds good. Hey, we had a great live stream today. We brought on David Piatek from VA Housing Education. If you haven't seen the episode, if you want information on like the VA home loan, check out VA Housing Education from David Piatek. And we talked a little bit about other VA benefits information as well during that time. But yeah, definitely keep this on your roster. Check us out tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be live with the Civ Div, with Raider HQ, the Salty Old Marine, Concise Psych, and we're going to have our Memorial Day live stream. It's going to be excellent. So I will have my drink in hand, giving a toast to those that came before us, and just sharing some good conversation with other fellow veterans doing the thing on YouTube and in the comments as well. So be prepared for that. And again, on the Green Logbook side, every super chat or every donation that comes in, I will be donating all of that on tomorrow's live stream to a veteran nonprofit organization. So just be aware of that. I'm not going to take any of that. I'm going to send it straight over to a veteran nonprofit organization. Yeah, there you go. Memorial Day live stream. All of us on the live tomorrow.
Boom, boom, boom. Gonna be awesome.
Easy day.
I'll be up late as F.
Yeah, all good.
But
all
good.
good, man. So good. And then, I plan on doing this periodically. So potentially this is not the first time that this will happen with all these other YouTubers or people in the veteran space specifically. It doesn't have to be a YouTuber, but people in the veteran space doing great things. So with that, thank you all for joining us today on this episode of the Military Retirement Podcast.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all your comments. And hopefully you got something out of it. And look forward to next week as well to share our 10 minutes of blunders in the military, one at a time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll set that up. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Have a safe one.
Out here.